It's like there's a Dustin Pedroia story about that. Like they were in the World Series, I think playing the Rockies, and he like goes. They were in Colorado, and he goes to like get in. They're like, no, dude, like who are you? He's like asked the pitcher last night who I am, because I think he like went yard. But yeah, he's like 5'7". Yeah, crazy.
Well, now people know who you are.
Yeah,
right?
yeah.
You're on LinkedIn,
Subpar kicker.
Yeah, dude. Well, no, dude, you're known for your greatness in GRC.
Oh man, I hope that's not on my tombstone.
Yo, what's up? Paramify podcast. Today is special.
Special. Yep. Welcome. We're here with Dixon Wright today. Dixon, thanks for coming out.
Yeah, man. Glad to be here, guys.
Glad to have you. So Dixon is head of delivery at Eden Data, but has been in the industry for a long time.
Veteran.
Started at KPMG. Did your time.
Yes.
Oh yeah. Prior to that,
College football player.
Football player.
Yeah.
Division 1.
The offensive lineman.
Yeah.
No, I was a place kicker.
Yeah.
Just a kicker.
Love it.
Yeah.
Then went to KPMG. You were super early on at Shellman. Spent about a decade at Coalfire, VP of GRC at Trust Cloud, and now at Eden Data.
Yeah.
I love it. So tell us about Eden Data. Kick it off there.
Yeah, Eden Data, recently acquired by Riveron Consulting. We are a cybersecurity advisory consulting company, largely helping people implement commercial frameworks. Now getting more into the federal space. Yeah, really cool story. Our founder basically built the business off Upwork. Got in early on as like a VC sell with Drata. Did some really good work and kind of expanded the business from there. So it's a really cool kind of post-COVID American dream type of story. And yeah, he just exited, and we're operating independently until March, but then we'll roll into Riveron, which is about 1,200 person company, largely consulting company that service like the office of the CFO. So IPO readiness, a lot of like financial accounting, advisory work, restructuring. They acquired a couple of other businesses in like the technology space. Like there's a NetSuite shop that they've acquired. So yeah, we're kind of a net new service line for them, which is exciting. We're kind of coming in and able to immediately create value. We're not having to flex and say that, oh, your existing departments don't do what we do. So it's a good fit for us. And they have a really large customer base, mid-market enterprise customers that we're excited to be able to serve now.
Super cool.
And so you were at JMU before, and then you went to KPMG.
Yep.
Tell us about KPMG.
Yeah.
Loves a good Big Four. Story.
Big Four origin. Yeah. It was short. And it's funny. It's not because it like wasn't good. Like, so I went to JMU in Virginia. A lot of the Big Four recruited heavily out of the Virginia schools, and it was 2-hour commute. So yeah, started KPMG IT advisory on the federal side. So doing basically the equivalent of like federal Sarbanes-Oxley, like ITGC controls, and then got us some exposure to like FISMA early on, doing 853 work for federal agencies. And yeah, like it was good, man. Like there was no like mandatory busy season in the federal side. We did have to start like in June before everybody else, because that was kind of like that was the federal busy season. But yeah, it was like really good. I have still like a lot of friends there, and yeah, I just got a really good opportunity early on, making a lot more money at Shellman to go take a risk and get a promotion. And yeah, it was cool. Like it was a crazy story because I was on a job in New Jersey, I think at the time, and I got a LinkedIn message from the founder of Shellman. He's like, hey, like you should come work here. Like here's what we offer. And I like took the call, and then they like flew you down to Tampa for this, like, I'm like 9 months out of school and I'm taking like a 1-day flight to another city I've never been to. And you're like, oh man, like this is the life. And so there's a really funny story in that too, is like got picked up by some guys. They were really small. I was like employee 50-ish, but I don't know if they even know this, but they took me to this Japanese restaurant, a sushi joint. And I'd never ate edamame before. So we get the edamame and I'm like, oh yeah, this looks good. And I put it in and start chewing the whole thing. And I noticed they're like spitting it out. So I just like had to man up and just like,
Yeah, and at that point you can't pull out.
oh
the
no,
shoot.
no chance. You can't spit it out.
That's probably why they hired you
Yeah,
on the
no,
spot.
like, just 'cause
This
an animal.
guy, look at that.
Yeah,
Dude,
whatever.
oh my gosh, dude, he just eats the whole thing.
So yeah, we
Amazing.
I had to, just you immediately knew like this doesn't feel like this is good if people eat this regularly even.
That's amazing.
So manned up and yeah, it's funny you guys do FedRAMP because apparently I got the job because I like dropped 853 and that was right kind of at the time where FedRAMP was coming on the scene and they were looking to pursue it. And I didn't know much about it at all. I just knew
No one did. We're talking like 15 years ago, right? So it's like,
yeah. So but that's
not
kind
very
of
many people.
full circle talking to a FedRAMP company.
I
Yeah,
love it.
it's good. You mentioned kind of the ITGC, and there's not a lot of people that understand what those are. IT general controls.
Yeah.
However, that is actually the basis of really great security. And I think it is like what data is coming in, what has access to that data, how a change is made to that data, and then the logging inside and out of it. And that's really the basis for all of it. Yeah. But it takes a little while to kind of get your gears there, right? Like you have to do iteration.
Well, and just like trying to learn like what a control is, and like in that space, it's a lot of like there's no uniformity. Like every company's different. Like you go and you would do these like robust walkthroughs of like what do you do, what are the systems, and then I think there's like the materiality component, which I think is important. I think sometimes we ignore a lot of that. It's like, yeah, the system doesn't do anything. Like it doesn't impact financial statement reporting, or it doesn't hit a threshold that matters. So why do we care about it, right? Like if someone logs in and fudges numbers, like who cares, right? Like we're not going to spend time on that particular component. We could probably learn some lessons around like the types of things that we apply security to in today's world. But there's a flip side of that of like the least, like the most vulnerable things are the things that you may not be aware of. And so there's probably a catch-22 there, but yeah, like the foundation of like understanding that what a control is, how to then like go and test that control. But it's like, again, you don't have a script. It's not, here's 15 requirements that you have to have. It's just like, what do you believe are the things that you should have in place? And then you got to come up with a way to effectively test that. So yeah, I mean, I think that's why some of the best folks in the industry come from Big Four and kind of, learn that way, because it's very different than being handed a script and say, hey, like just go follow these instructions. And there was some of that. Here's what we did last year. Go redo that. Yeah. But you learn over time, what that looks like. So
I'll never forget, speaking of, here's what we did last year, but just finding, like kind of going through, I'm like, hey, wow, this access review looks remarkably similar to the one that I just did for this year. And I'm like, wait, and I'm like, teacher, I'm like, hey, is this bad? Yeah. And then that person gets fired. You're just like, oh, shoot. Yeah. But yeah, you mentioned that thing, like, why is this important? What are we doing? Yeah. And I do think that that's really important. And to have that understanding at the very beginning, scoping things, and no big deal. I remember also like popping like a Wi-Fi and getting access to something, and then no one really cared, right? Because it was like, yeah, dude, no one like cares about this system. I'm like, yeah, but check out what I did. It was super cool. I popped it. Yeah, that's hilarious, man. That's awesome. Okay, dude. Did you?
I love it.
You want to jump into something?
Yeah, let's jump into your football career.
Yeah.
I want that origin story. Did you play soccer and then move over to kicker in football, or was?
Yeah, I didn't start playing football until like my sophomore year of high school. So I played soccer and baseball and basketball, and just never really wanted to like get hit. And the coach was like, dude, you should just come and like just try it. And I was like, all right. And yeah, it was kind of natural, and went to some camps and kind of got like nationally ranked at some camps. And I'll never forget, like when you go to these camps, like you get put on these, like, this is kind of predates social media, right? So now guys like have the highlight reels, and it's easy to kind of access things on the web, but back then it's like you literally like made film, like guy, camcorder, like taking it. It's like it was a big deal to kind of make a highlight reel, right? Yeah. But when you went to these camps, they would like put you on these listings. But I remember getting my first letter from like Bobby Bowden at Florida State.
So sick.
And it was like, hey, like we're interested in you. And you like thought it was true. And it's like, because there's thousands of kids getting these letters because they show up on some list. But it was just like a touch point of like, if you're really good and you get to that point, like you'll remember it. But yeah, I remember getting that like Florida State letter. And it's like, dude, I'm big time. Like, I'm going to make it. But yeah, like, did some camps and ended up getting a scholarship and went to
State had some good kickers back then.
Janikowski, man.
Yeah. Great kickers. I remember. Yeah.
You just needed to like put on like 100 pounds and do a little cocaine and might have made Janikowski style.
What might have been.
Oh man, Paul, we just did a little bit more cocaine. What could be?
Funny. I actually was in this guy's office the other day and he had a Janikowski jersey. I was like, I've never seen a kicker like framed jersey. It was like a Janikowski Raiders jersey. I was like, that's amazing.
Yeah. Kickers, man.
Yeah, Graham Gano was also.
I should have played kicker too.
Yeah.
Because I couldn't pay attention, like, and I could not pay attention. I did play a little bit of, defensive back, like when I was little, but like, kicker is like where I ended up. Yeah. Number one, I have like, there's so much video of me, like, and then they're just like commenting on like, hey, number one has absolutely no clue what's going on. And my dad's like, yeah, that's Kenny. I'm like, what are we supposed to do on this play? Anyways, it's hard. Pay attention, but kicking, easy.
Very easy. Yeah. Just unless you have a mental breakdown.
Yeah.
Which I almost had several.
Yeah.
Yeah.
I bet you. Yeah. I mean, I never was in any important games, right? Yeah. But the burden of the kicker, I understand. Yeah.
Highs and lows.
Yeah.
Yeah.
It kind of is, in transitioning back, it kind of is like the GRC people.
Yeah.
Not needed until something goes wrong, and then everyone's like, what the hell, man?
What's your favorite memory? What's like one of the tough ones? One of the tough ones, yeah?
Yeah, so the toughest is pretty easy. First game ever starting as a place kicker. We used to play a big game JMU used to be FCS, like now they're doing really well. And but we played University of Maryland. So first extra point ever missed, like easiest kick on the planet, right? Just so nervous, miss. Go to kickoff, really crappy kickoff. Guy houses it. On that play, I get a concussion. So not good. Have to sit out. Like it's fun. Do
you remember the hit at all?
I dove, hit somebody's knee.
Oh,
and then don't remember.
Classic.
It's like I never had my helmet very tight either. I could literally take my helmet off without the chin, with the chin strap on.
How it was back then, though.
Yeah, well, it's like it's like I don't need a big helmet. I don't need it to be like, I didn't want to be tight. I'm like, I'm not hitting anybody. But yeah, I got a concussion. I don't remember like I remember being on the sideline. I don't remember getting from like the hit to the sideline. So, but this was before concussion protocols. Like in today's world would have been out of the game. Came back in the second half, and we took Maryland into overtime. Really crappy first drive. I think we gained a yard. Had a 41-yarder from the left hash, and pushed it like wide right. And so.
But it had the distance.
Had the distance.
So that's respectable.
It was good. It was a good kick.
41.
Maryland came back and like they drove down, kicked it was a sub 30 yard field goal, and they beat us. But the first front page of the school newspaper on Monday was wide right, WRIGHT. So that was very memorable, and still thinking about that sometimes.
These get dark.
Yeah. And then actually one of my team members this week just resent me the article and said, "Man, this was such a great read." Real savage.
Yeah, that is savage.
So that was probably
making you relive that trauma.
Yeah, not good.
We'll say it's good to talk about things, but I don't think so. Sometimes it's better just like just bottle up and just like leave it alone.
Leave that one in in the file drawer. But yeah, so that was it's a great story to tell. People love hearing about it.
Yeah.
Getting popped at the college level has got to be something different. I remember being decleated a couple times by some Polynesians, or just getting destroyed.
Yeah.
Right, playing running back, I'm just like, geez, just getting destroyed.
Yeah, I mean, it's like 5'10", 175 at the time.
Right.
You know, like, not good.
Yeah.
My parents always talk about when I got dropped off of summer camp, like just being in the room with all the guys, and you know, literally, I'm probably like 170 then, like, and just like looking around, like, oh man, like
Division I athletes is different.
these guys are built different. And it's like I tell people, you know, like all of our walk-ons would have been the best player in like my conference. You know what I mean? Like that's just how good. But people don't realize like how good guys are. But yeah, it's a good story.
That's like what's his face, the Utah receiver Britton Covey. Went to the NFL. And he showed up the first day, and the security guards were like, "Bro, you're not on the team." Nice try. Like, I really am.
That's like there's a Dustin Pedroia story about that. Like they were in the World Series, I think playing the Rockies, and he like goes. They were in Colorado, and he goes to like get in. They're like, "No, dude. Like, who are you?" He's like, asked the pitcher last night who I am, because I think he like went yard. But yeah, he's like 5'7". Yeah, crazy.
Well, now people know who you are.
Yeah,
right?
yeah.
You're on LinkedIn,
Subpar kicker.
Yeah, dude. Well, no, dude, you're known for your greatness in GRC.
Oh man, I hope that's not on my tombstone.
Greatness in GRC.
We had some slogans we were throwing around, like, yeah, make GRC cool again. And someone says, is it ever cool? No, it never was. Can you make it cool? Can you make a stapler cool? No. You can like put like flames on it. Yeah. It's not going to work. Make it fly. Yeah. It's still a stapler.
Yeah. I tell people now that I'm because most of my career was like external audit. So I tell people now that I'm like a recovering auditor. So like being on the advisory side and the tech side, it's a bit cooler, you know, but being like a GRC auditor, you know, it's like you got to cut your teeth somewhere and kind of get you to where you need to be, and certainly helped drive my career. So I'm grateful for that. But yeah, man, just being a GRC auditor.
Yeah. Yeah. I mean, it pays the bills, right?
It does. Pays the bills, pays the good bills, you know?
That's right. It's really, really important. It's just there's not many people that are willing to, you know, get like concussions and like experience the pain of like getting good or GRC, right? Yeah. There's only a few of us, right? There's only
very few come back for the second half after that concussion. So auditors, we were chatting about this a little bit earlier, but auditors is something like in FedRAMP, obviously with the introduction of 20x, it's like, you know, what is the role? How does it change with SOC 2 and all the automation platforms and things getting cheaper and cheaper? Like audit in general is like changing. What's your take on that with your background?
Yeah, man, I think it's a tough business. I mean, I think it depends on who you're serving. You know, and I kind of think of the market in three segments. Like this isn't rocket science, but there's down market, there's mid market, there's enterprise, and there may be a fourth where we're talking like mega enterprise, like major cloud providers. But you know, down market, it's like everyone sees the discourse on LinkedIn. 3K audits, 5K audits, partnered with platforms, collusion, no independence. I mean,
collusion breaks all control.
Yeah, it's the Wild Wild West. 3 weeks, 10 weeks, like 2 weeks.
AI
plus
will
an
do
audit,
it for
plus
you.
Plus a pen test. It's not a pen test, right? Like there's just all this stuff, and then I think largely it's mostly done like offshore, which I mean, there's a lot of great offshore resources, like. But, you know, from a cost standpoint, but, you know, it's like, it's just not valuable right now. And so I think there ultimately has to be reform, or the technologies like got to continue to take over to provide the assurance necessary. So I think that's where I think like it needs to go, where it's like provable security. Like, you know, everybody has a trust center now, but the trust center is just like green dots. It's not actual reflection of like whether the control is being automated and in place. It's just like, ooh, like it like looks flashy, but it's not, you know, it's not true.
Is that what they're saying about our trust center?
Not your.
Everybody else.
Yeah.
Yeah, everybody else.
Yeah. So I think like that, but I think that's the opportunity. It's like, the other big challenge is questionnaires and third-party risk management. Everybody hates doing them.
Yeah.
No one trusts the SOC report, but so then they get a questionnaire. No one wants to do the questionnaire. People are using AI to fill out the questionnaire. There's probably some things that the AI is doing that's isn't true. There's probably some hallucinations in there. So it's just kind of the wild, wild west, and so I think something has to occur, and I think the automation is getting better and better. Where I don't understand why you would rely on a PDF report that's on things that look back in time. That just doesn't make a lot of sense to me. And there's just so much fluff. There's so much garbage in these reports, right? Like
what are some examples of some of the funny things
signing
you've
the
seen?
code of conduct.
Yeah.
Oh,
good.
All the
I trust you
all
now.
the HR stuff, right?
Yeah.
And even background checks. Yes, if you have a felony for, data theft, right? Sure. Let's flag that. But on the on
I'm
the
doing
whole,
better now. You guys weren't supposed to know about that.
Yeah. But it's like,
Penny's is strictly shoplifting.
Yeah.
and everyone's like, well, it's like,
That was one time. And it was Banaka. And I did it to make people laugh.
but it's like you got all these things, and it's like at the end of the day, you're spending a lot of time. Is it really helping you? Is it really mitigating risk to the extent people care? So yeah, you can go down a thread and say, yeah, well, if this person was an ex-felon, you didn't do a background check, you hired them, they stole data. Maybe that's, but signing the code of conduct, hey, Joe didn't sign it. What's the risk, right? That he's just, Joe's going to probably do that. Joe did probably, 95% of the people that signed it didn't read it anyways. So they're just going to do whatever they're doing.
Is there really a difference there?
Right. So it's I think there's several of those things that
Most
people have to
Joes are trustworthy.
Yeah. And again, you need a org chart. It's every modern HRIS system has an org chart, right? And then you got to test
No
it.
exception noted.
Right. So there's a lot of that.
Yeah.
And so,
Do you have your data flow diagram?
Yeah.
This is what they say.
Yeah.
Is what's happening.
Yeah.
Do they have a data flow diagram?
templated policies, right? That don't actually, that may or may not reflect what you actually do. But again, most of it's most of the things that matter are technical. And so I think there's, how do we focus on those things, the things that mitigate the most risk? And how do we use the research that's out there to inform what's being done? I got a buddy, old client that worked at Harness, and he was like, yeah, we're back to we're focusing on the fundamentals is the terminology he used. And it's we're trying to figure out what controls matter and prevent, that mitigate the most risk, right? SSO and multi-factor authentication, this was a couple years ago, and one of the breach reports was most of this came from, it was some type of credential compromise. And so yeah, let's focus on how we secure that. I think the most recent Verizon reports, I think it's 30% are in code now. A lot of the compromises are happening
because they put secrets inside of it.
Vulnerabilities in the software development lifecycle. Okay, well, let's spend 30% of our effort on securing that, right? Not doing the things that kind of evolved over the years where we're still, so this was relevant 10 years ago, but it's not relevant now. Change management's a great example, right? Everyone gets wound up on change and proving changes, and it's the systems and the technology are completely different, right? And yes, maybe there's some element of risk by not doing those types of things, but
super minute.
Yeah, and it's and focusing on that and requiring a big audit effort on that, I just don't think it's great. So it's just something has to be done.
Yeah, the Verizon report did change, right? Like you said, the code, was exploited. And a lot of that has got to be like AI, right? Is able to just see that and exploit, it can, oh yeah, I can see that, which a human wouldn't be able to eyeball as quickly. Right. So they could be like, oh yeah, this is open source technology.
Didn't Anthropic just release a report on that? On AI?
I'm sure.
I'm sure they have. I think the other thing is you've got like everyone's talking about
Didn't Anthropic?
They did.
Yeah.
I actually forgot what the article said about it, except that they were saying that the AI stuff was moving so fast it was finding like, I forget what they said, 30 times as many things.
Yeah.
And on top of that, you got all these like penetration testing firms saying like any type of like pen test we do on AI, like we're successful.
Like 95%, right?
It's super high. So it's like, this isn't good. AI's compromising, and then the AI is compromisable. And so it's like, man, like
and AI is used to attack or to defend. Yeah, right. Exactly. AI blue teams.
So yeah, it's what do we do? I don't really know.
You got to focus on the things.
But let's make sure you sign the code of conduct. Most importantly. You've read in the acceptable use, and you've signed the InfoSec policy.
I'll never forget that, because I remember when we were architecting the common controls like a long time ago. Actually just over here, just this, in Lehigh, right? That's where it all happened, and we were putting those together, and we were basing them off of NIST for the most part. And then we got the SOC 2 criteria at the time, and it was like, it had this example about, job descriptions. And I'm like, and so we had like a job descriptions control. And I'm like, why do we have this? Like, do people are we like those people on the infomercials that like struggle with literally everything, like with opening containers or, it's like, why do we have this as a control? And we put that into the wild on our first like open source, and we never used it on my side, but for whatever reason it was in there. And then we revoked it, the job descriptions control but then I felt like later on when I was like doing SOC 2s for other clients, with my embarrassing prototype resolutions, doing the section. But I remember talking to an auditor, and they were talking about the job descriptions control. Why don't you have that? I'm like, why do we need that? Tell me how this helps anything. Well, it's just, it's in the criteria. And I'm like, we're not going to do that.
Well, it's like, and you have job how do you hire people? Yeah, you have job descriptions.
Yeah.
That's a great example.
And also in this industry, it's like, no one wants those jobs, right? Yeah, no one wants the GRC job, right? KPMG, we love you, but no one wants your job, right? PwC, love it, but yeah. Because so auditors are in a tough, like things are changing, quite a bit. And you're seeing that in the market. A lot of the value is transitioning to automation platforms. And auditors have to change how they're doing it. So in what ways are they winning, right? Where do you think, because you have all that background, you've gone through all those tough things, right?
Yeah, I mean, I think the win is that I think what the automation platforms have done is they just like largely expanded the market, right? Like, there's so many companies that can like pursue SOC 2 and ISO 27001 and some of these like, low tier, easier commercial frameworks as a result of the automation platforms.
It's great.
They made it super accessible. They do really good education. They have like really far reach and spend a lot of money on marketing. So I think like that's been really good. So I think if you're an auditor in that ecosystem, like, yes, like the jobs are far less, but from a revenue standpoint, but you've got a huge quantity. And then you've got different flavors. I mean, I think there's some of the like, you have these more like quality oriented firms that are charging more, but they're leveraging offshore resources and still doing a pretty good job. Like they're not checking boxes. They're doing it by the book. And it's a much more competitive rate. Like I tell people, 5 years ago, like pre-Vanta, like right around the same time as like Vanta Drata came on, like we did a lot of business at Coalfire, like sub 100 employees. Hey, I need to unlock this enterprise deal. I need SOC 2. And like we would charge them 20, 25 grand for a gap assessment. Took 6 weeks, 8 weeks.
5 people, 6 weeks. Yeah.
A couple people. And that was still competitive, like way more competitive than the big four. And then we would charge them, you know, let's call it $35K for a SOC 2 type 2, right? So you're all in there at like 9 to 12 months. Let's call it 50 plus grand, 30K kind of like structurally recurring. Now that same company can go pay 10 grand for platform and then like 5K for an audit. And like they may or may not need an implementation firm. And like we're seeing more and more that they do. And that's like kind of what Eden does. But I think like that's the big difference. So now you're 15K versus like 50K, your timeline's shrunk. And you've eliminated like a lot of things. Like they do a good job of eliminating and programmatizing things that were historically manual and in spreadsheets. So it's like that's the good part. And as the auditor, being able to consume that, like, yes, there's certain things that we can rely on that speed up our work. There's probably some things that some rely on that some shouldn't. You know, there's kind of like the give and take there. But I think that's the opportunity. And you've seen folks like kind of mid-market firms like A-Line jump on the partnership train before Coalfire Shellman. And I think, you know, they've got 3 years of lots of volume, lots of like, you know, great partnership and now you see, you know, Coalfire Shellman kind of following suit, you know, now. So I think that's where strategy really matters and kind of how you've approached that in the past. But the niche providers that are doing the down, like the real cheap stuff, I mean, I think that's, at any time there's like, if there's like reform, which I think we're starting to see a bit of that, like AICPA has like this new alternative practice structure where there's a centralized peer review now. They're going to start hammering folks a bit more to kind of try to protect. I don't know if that's going to be enough, but you know, I think, so if I'm an auditor, like you've got to factor in all those things. Like the unfortunate part is it's like, you're really late to the game now to like be in a position to be a good partner. Right. Unless new ones continue to pop up, but the rates are down, and then I think the platforms are going to go up market, right? So it's like I think there's going to be a level. If I'm an auditor, I've got a plan for like cannibalized revenue, right? Like there's an element like if I sign up what is historically 100K, they're going to say, hey, I'm using Vanta Drata, like there's 30% automation, like 30% of my fee should reduce, right? Like that's the logic. And I think some of that is true. Like maybe it's not a complete 1-to-1 there, but you know, it's got to reduce the effort. And then you've got 20x, which is like a much larger extreme of like, man, is it?
We're gonna automate everything.
It's 70%. Like, is it 70% of the effort being diminished, right? Like, I think that's going to be the real interesting thing. Again, the good news is I think it extends the market size. There's going to be way more people there to do it. Like, there's not, you know, it's not a 50 a year, right? Like, there's way more people that can go and attain it. But my job as an auditor, like, what used to be a couple $100,000 maybe right now is like far less.
Yeah. In my experience, having done FedRAMP High, you know, implementing that environment like multiple times for clients, and then also, you know, for Paramify, implementing all the FIPS and making sure there's a lot of effort that goes into a great architecture, great security architecture. So if you start there, it's a lot easier to be right. Any math equation that starts wrong, it's going to end wrong, right? And so you want to make that as simple as possible to do the right thing. However, my experience doing 20x also, we got 20x authorized. And the rigor that went into the low impact was not as much, but what we're seeing for moderate is actually much higher than any other standard we've seen before. When I compare that back to the SOC 2 days and like what is value, you know, when we had, you know, KPMG or PwC or like a high quality firm, like they always found stuff. It would be rigorous, and we didn't, you know, they would always find issues, you know, always, right? It didn't matter what we did. And that was actually good, right, for us. We liked seeing that. Now, it gets so superficial, right? And it literally becomes just a sticker. It's like, what was the value of a SOC 2 or ISO anyway? And so what do you think there? Like, what is the value of a SOC 2 or an ISO 27001 certification?
It's a great question. I mean, it's super, like, the value of it in and of itself is great, because it's like today it's being accepted and it's unlocking revenue for startups. Right. So like from a business decision to go and pursue, and really the requirement to go and pursue, like, you don't really have a choice if you're a startup. Like, if you don't have it, if you guys didn't have it, like, there's deals that you couldn't get done.
Absolutely.
Right. So like you have to do it. And so I think like that's the value, is like helping, like, you know, like that's part of like what we talk about all the time, is like we service a lot of startups, like we help you unlock revenue. Like, the vehicle in which we do that is via compliance, but like that's what gets me fired up, is like I get to help your business, right? Like, grow and survive to where you can find product market fit to then grow, and then you need like real security, right? So there's like this kind of like kind of step ladder these folks have to go on. So I think the values commercially is there. I think from a security perspective, it's like, yeah, like there's a lot of checking boxes going on, and you can, unfortunately, like, you can do that. And I think that goes back to like SOC 2 is like not overly prescriptive in terms of what you need to implement.
And job descriptions,
acceptable use attestations, right? It's great.
What are the terms of use? What did you give them for the?
Yeah. So I think, you know, like there's still a lot of that, and so I think the issue is going to be like when those down market reports are like no longer accepted. Like when the TPRM teams like push back, which will they not? Like, I don't know. That's what everyone's like calling for. It's saying it's like it's the TPRM teams that are responsible for, like, they're the ones that should enforce like crappy SOC 2 reports.
They shouldn't accept them.
They shouldn't accept, and maybe that's true. It's like, but that's just hard. I mean, I think like a lot of those folks, like, but then again, it's like they should be doing a risk. What is the tool? What is the tool doing? Like,
You know, it's also hard to be the only TPRM person not accepting it if the industry is still accepting it, because then the business looks at you and says, why are you holding us back?
yeah. Well, and also if you put yourself in a, like, again, like, and this is where I think there's a lot of TPRM that's non-strategic. There's some that is, but like most of those folks, it's like, it's a procurement function, right? And so just like, you're just like, yes, I got it. And so there's, and then you, on the flip side though, you have people that are, especially in enterprises, like, they don't care who you are. They don't care what your platform does. Like, let's say you just don't do anything, like some very low risk, like they're getting a 300 question questionnaire, even though like you pose literally no risk to that organization.
Right.
And so, you know, it's just kind of this like whack-a-mole, like everybody wants this like one size fits all. It's unfortunately like not that easy.
Right.
And so
It's risk decisions.
yeah, and then there's just not enough of that. Like, I think there should be more time spent on like, who are my vendors? What do they do? What data do they have? Like, how risky are they? Like, we should spend more time on that versus like actually like shipping questionnaires and evaluating questionnaires, because it just may not matter for half of your inventory of vendors.
I have a question. You've got a lot of experience with this now. For the automation platforms, you know, they're going out fetching evidence, and then they validate the evidence, and then they give you some sort of outcome. A lot of times they're using APIs that are produced by the hyperscalers.
Yeah.
And that's how we do it. How are the auditors actually getting comfortable with those integrations? Is it possible to do it at scale? And
yeah, I think there's probably three camps. There's one camp that just like doesn't care, and like they're just gonna check the box anyway. Like they're just full send on the green check mark, right?
that audit
Heck
firm's
yeah,
like, "That's
baby,
great.
like,
Yeah, it said it did it. I'm fine."
great. Like, I don't have to do any work here, right? So I think there's that camp, and that's, you know, that's how you do 3K audits, right? Like, right, you know, like, whoop, that green. And that's not necessarily saying that the back end automation is wrong.
Right.
It's like, it could be true. Like, you know, they're plugging into AWS, plugging into GitHub, they're doing these checks. Like, some of that's like still works, right? Even though if I understand it or not. there's the other side that's like, I don't trust it whatsoever.
Oh.
Right. And it's like, I need screenshots. And you want to talk about wanting to punch yourself in the face. Like, you know, like we have customers like relying on automation. Automation's good. Like if we're doing implementation, we're also doing some level of validation that the configurations are accurate. Drata, Vanta, you know, reporting accuracy. Ideally, if I'm an auditor, I'm like, yeah, like hand this over to you in a silver platter, bro. Like you don't have to do the work. Like drive efficiency to your process. Like, but he's like, no, like,
Wow, that's like the other camp.
it is, and that's becoming more and more rare because like they'll kick you out of the ecosystem if like you don't do your job. And then there's the third camp, which is like, hey, like I really understand this stuff. I understand the pros and cons, and there's some of that. There probably needs to be more. But you know, like they have raw JSON. Like if you can read JSON, which if you can read, you should largely be able to interpret like what it's saying. I mean, everyone's intimidated by, you know, how it's structured and the formatting, but it's like if you literally just read it, it's like it tells you what it's doing.
And those are the JSON files from the actual source, right?
It'll source, and then you can go back and then and so I think there's what it would be in an ideal situation is I think like I think number one, like there's probably not enough verification of scope. So when you like, what cloud are you plugging into?
Yeah.
Which one, like which account is that your production account where your production loads are? Is that what's actually being connected? And are there more, right? Or is it just one? So I think like determining scope of like what is being connected should be a bigger deal than probably what it is today.
Yeah.
And then I think there's like, you know, if you've got, let's say it's doing 100 checks, like sample 10 of those and say, hey, here's the result, like go and show me. Okay, great. Like I got comfort that you plugged into the right things, that the automation's working. I can see the results. I see it also in your cloud system. Like I feel I have comfort, and then I have reasonable assurance, and then I can rely on the other 90.
Yeah, that's right.
And then you have like defensible kind of evidence around like, this is why I did what I did and feel good about it. And then you drive a ton of automation, price reduction, like to your audits to make you more competitive, you know, frees up your people. So I think like that's where it's like, it can be like really good, and kind of how I see like the best practice. I've never seen anybody do the sampling of automation checks.
Well,
Yeah. I mean, there's maybe some that are doing it. I haven't seen it firsthand.
mm-hmm. Yeah, it makes sense to me because validating everything, you know, is really, really hard. But you can do the things that are important, right? You can do key things. That's really interesting. So you have those also on the customer side. There's people that are like, hey, I need to exist as a cloud business. I want to do this cool thing. I just want to, you know, it could be something super low risk, right? Yeah. But they're just going for an outcome, which is I just need a sticker. I just need to be able to sell, right? And there are those, but then there are in the enterprises, right? The stakes kind of get higher. So today's Wednesday. What is that? The November 19th. So Cloudflare had a big outage today, and I think the way they handled it is actually pretty cool. Like the way the CEO handled it, but huge outage today. And they have just a higher expectation, right, on how things should be implemented. So that's like a big enterprise is basically the whole internet is like using it, right? The stakes are different. And so it depends what your goal is. Right. Now in the federal space, since we're mentioning 20x, since we're mentioning 20x, SOC 2 is like a lot more flexible, right? With FedRAMP 20x, there's certain things that you expect to see. And then you need to be able to understand the pipeline of how did you get that evidence? Yeah. How did you get that evidence and how are you validating it? And once you see that validation once, right, I feel like that's what they're going for. And it's really exciting. It's just we've never seen anything to this expectation, right? Like over 70% is automated, but I think we're going to get there. Yeah.
So my question, I think there's this misconception in the marketplace, like, oh, 20x is easier. Mm-hmm. Like the audit may be easier. The implementation of it is significantly harder because the burden of proof and the technology that you need to build to satisfy that is now it's much different, right? Like I can't just give you a screenshot saying that I did it. I've got to actually build technology that showcases how I've done it and that outcome is there, right?
Yeah. With the old way, right? With the legacy way, when I'm doing a document, yeah, I'm doing my best to fill out 4,000 pages. Like, how is this component implemented? How, like AC2, go through A through L, and then let's go through every single component on like access management, right? How do we implement that? That's going to be several pages, right, of how things are implemented. And it makes sense if that's how you have to describe it. Now, that's freaking hard to do, and to do it accurately, and that's where we came in at the very beginning. Let's do that. Now, with 20x, you need to make that transparent. So AC2, instead of like I documented it one time, like once a year, I have to continually prove that those things are working. So it's absolutely a lot harder. And you're going to also find a lot more issues, which I think is great. Right? You should not be expecting green check marks everywhere all the time. Cloudflare is a world-class organization, and they have things that happen to them. AWS, world-class organization. They have things that break, right? I remember like getting Microsoft to Azure reports, like SOC 2 reports. They would do them every quarter, and there would be an issue in the SOC 2. I'm like, okay, now there's an issue. I have to find out, how does it impact me? Oh, it doesn't. But at least they were monitoring things all the time, right? Now the expectation is that we all kind of just show everything that's our innards, what's going on. And so that is absolutely much more challenging than I can paper chase this thing away.
Yeah, I mean, I don't think the industry's ready for that level of transparency.
Nope. And
it puts the burden on a lot of the implementation and advisory partners more than the auditors too. And we're going to find the same thing there that you see, in SOC 2 audits. You've got a drastic variation in quality. We see the same thing in the advisory and implementation partners too. Is there's some who are world class, and there's some that it's like, and there's a big burden there now. It's tough. You guys probably see that too. I know those are your competitors, but
I mean, it's crazy, and I think, you have. I think we're serving a lot of startups that are, by nature they're building products that are of interest to the federal government, or they're serving DoD, like CMMC, and but they're startups, and so it's like, people aren't ready for the price tag of FedRAMP, and I think I think that's where the messaging around the 20x program could be a bit better. It's like, we want to make this more accessible. We want to make it like the process more, but to build the technology is going to be like really, really difficult, and it's going to take a lot of time, and it's going to take a lot of guidance, and there's also still a ton of unknowns. But even in the traditional route, like we just dealt with something, like I thought we put it together a pretty competitive bid. I mean, certainly more expensive than what we charge for SOC 2, but competitor, it's like, what am I missing? Like, guys, like I got another, this was FedRAMP moderate, traditional, not 20x, $40K for FedRAMP advisory. I'm like, dude, like
they're just running your tool or whatever.
Yeah, I don't know what they're doing. Like, what are they doing for that? Right? Like, I like just, like, great, good job, guys. And I'm like, there's understanding like your current state, like understanding like what your gaps are, like understanding like guidance on, I missed the scoping part. What is your boundary, right? Do you have non-FedRAMP authorized services?
Yes.
Right. Yes, exactly. Do you have FIPS level encryption? No.
That's
okay,
your problem, man. How are you gonna fix that?
Let's figure that out. And then
$40K probably.
Right. And then two, like, then it's like, okay, well, you got all this other stuff, like, anything that's like basically non-technical configuration chains, like will help, and will help do and build for them, because they're small teams, and they, but it's like, and then we can also help support like the actual end audit, right? And like help facilitate that for the customer. It's like, man, like divide that 325 controls, right? Like that adds up really quickly. Like, no way you're doing that for 40 grand. Like, you're just getting a really, really crappy service. I saw another one recently. It was like FedRAMP, I can't remember what it said 10K included an SSP. And I don't think they use you guys. Like, what are you doing? No way you're doing that for 10K.
I think
If it's if it's done by AI, right, it will look cool for a second, but is it true?
And they're just going to screw these
customers.
customers. Like, these customers are going to get screwed. And so it's just, and so it really stinks to have, and again, like that's part of business, but the burden proof's on you to say like, this is why. And again, like having transparent pricing and level of effort and all that stuff, like I'm all for it. I think it's great. And we shouldn't like hijack people and just like take their money. Like we're not in that business, and we can't do it because startups just like can't pay it either, right?
Yeah.
But it's just it's sad to see those types of programs where you're just like, man, like this customer's getting ready to get hosed, right? And and it's bad.
I know I'm coming from like a security background. I mean, I've helped customers implement it, and I know what we pay, to implement it for us, and it's not $40K. Right. It's more than we use our own solution.
Than anybody, and we didn't pay for our own solution.
We didn't pay for our own solution, but it's more than that. It's because of we're paying for expertise, we're paying for experience, and so the person I have like has done it so many times for he's going on a decade and a half of doing this, like ATOs, right? And before that came from a good security assurance background, right? And then I have great security engineers. And really what needs to happen is security, that burden needs to be spread throughout the whole organization, and it can't just be on one GRC person. So when people say like, hey, I can do this for cheap, that's a big red flag at the very beginning, right? I would say.
Oh, right, sure.
Yeah, we'll do it cheaper.
Well, and you don't want to be somebody's guinea pig unless you can afford to have to redo it, because if they don't have a track record, you know what I mean? Like,
how many customers have you gotten through the process?
That's right.
Like, or even like, I mean, again, like, I think a lot of this is like very like, we're fortunate again, just because I think the level of like FedRAMP is becoming more accessible, right? So more people are like looking to pursue it. And so, traditionally, like, smaller VCSO firms like would never have a chance to like compete for that work. So I think we're fortunate to be in that space, but it's like, you may not even like, your firm may not have gotten somebody through, but like, hopefully you have somebody in your organization that you can point to and say, this guy, like, like XYZ firm hasn't, but this guy's did 10 authorizations before, like, so he knows what he's doing. So I think there's different ways to validate it, even if it's not like at a firm level, because it's like, there's going to be, like if you're not a juggernaut, like you're not going to have a ton of proof points, but even like, I just don't think these folks have, like, if you had someone on staff that knows what they're doing, they're going to be like, guys, like, no way we can do this for 40K. Yeah. No way we can do this. We can write an SSP for 10K. Right? And
not one that's true.
Yeah.
Right. You know what I mean? Yeah. I think the date, like when they approved it, or like that's correct, right? So it's all degrees, right? It's 10% true.
So yeah, I mean, I think that's, again, just that's where we're at. And unfortunately, like, people are going to get taken advantage of, and they're going to see that and they're like, oh yeah, it's only 10K. Like, oh, I'm unlocking millions of dollars of federal contracts and I'm only got to pay 10. It's like, okay. Yeah. They used to have the FAQs, and it was like, it would scare people, and it's like, hey, it's going to take you 12 to 18 months and it's going to cost you probably $1 million. It's like, we need those FAQs to be back up there now. And I think in that, it's like, particularly for like what it's going to cost folks to build out the infrastructure and technology to support 20x. Like, 'cause I think I think that's the problem right now, is everyone's like, this is easy. Like, customers like, I want to do 20x. Like, I don't know if you do.
Right. Yeah. We hear people all the time. They're like, oh yeah, they made FedRAMP easier. We're going to go do it. And we're like, no.
If you have the right tools and you have someone who knows what they're doing and who's ready to be like a security engineer, actual GRC. So we work with actual GRC engineers in our platform. Yeah. And it's great, right? That's we're trying to be the Iron Man suit for Tony Stark or for Pepper. Yeah. Someone who knows what they're doing, who knows how to wield the tool. We are so far away from the security easy button. Yeah. We're so far away from it. Yeah. AI can't do it all for you. It can be helpful as long as you can define the parameters, right? And you can be really clear about what it is, but just to let it go and do something, something like 20x is, we're pretty far from that, I think, still. Yeah. Though there's some pretty cool things that you could do, which I love some of the things that we're doing with it.
For sure. And the vision's incredible. I mean, I think this is like what everybody wants. And I think it's like when I look at what the outcomes are supposed to be, like that's what everyone should want, like maybe unless you're an auditor, right? Because again, like it's taking what used to be yours and kind of giving that to somebody else. But as a customer and as a general practitioner, it's like, this is where the industry like needs to go. Like there should, like the fact that we still like, business to business trust is like relying upon an old document like PDF, like that's just still pretty wild, in 2025.
Yeah.
At that,
Yeah. Doesn't work. I love where we're going. Where it is going is the things that those inefficiencies, right? So people that took advantage of the inefficiencies of the old process and they built these businesses where they're charging literally seven-figure. I mean, I've seen so many seven-figure deals, and there's probably value where I'm not saying that a seven-figure deal is out of the question for the right implementation and the right value. Some things are just huge.
Yeah.
We're dealing with hundreds of components and hundreds of systems, and there's a place for that. But when you're doing $800K or $1 million on doc dev, that's we're past that, and that's what I'm glad about FedRAMP 20x is. I think those days are going to be further and further behind us with great tools. Where we are right today. So
for sure.
Anyway, man,
The move towards provable security, right?
provable. You're awesome. Thanks for coming out to Utah.
Awesome. Thanks for coming.
Awesome. Next.
Tell the people where they can find you.
Yeah, you can find us edendata.com. That's the firm. I occasionally post regularly on LinkedIn, and then go through hiatuses of questioning why on why.
I occasionally post regularly.
Yeah, I occasionally post regularly.